Hey y'all, it's February the 28th, 2017, and I've been thinking about this for a while now. I wanted to make a video. Today in attempts to help people out there, help the young men out there, and at the same time help the young ladies out there. Because here's the thing, I know that there's a bunch of confusion going on in this day and age in this country. I know that for a fact. Some of the most bizarre and significant of this confusion that is taking place in this country is what you might refer to as gender confusion. Alright, let me explain. There's males and there's females. That's two genders. There's only two genders. There's only ever been two genders. There are hermaphrodites who exist, and people, very rare cases where people are in betweens. Alright, but there's only two genders. And you know just as well as I know, there's a lot of people out there very, very confused about it. A lot of people out there who have too much time on their hands. All right, a lot of people out there who have been placated to the point to where they have no idea what gender they are. In fact, they're making up genders and inventing them because they're so absolutely confused. They're so devoid of purpose in their life that they have to go on these extracurricular activities or whatever, and they gotta forget what it is gender that they are. All right, they gotta go out there and try and convince others that they're a part of a new gender, things like that. It's quite ridiculous. It's a lot of confusion. All right, I'm not necessarily talking about that here with you today, as much as I'm talking about the confusion that arises, the confused behavior that takes place between these young ladies and these young men out here who know that they are in fact male and female, but still are confused as to how to appropriately act as a male and a female. I want to tell y'all a little bit of personal history on my part. You know, I was married at one point. Of course, I have a baby out there. I was married at one point to a lady, and she had left, alright? You know, and I was very sad. I can't say whether as to not she was right or wrong about it necessarily, but she left. Alright, and it got me to feel very sad. You know, for a particular period of my life, and I was very confused. I had to figure out some stuff about myself. I had to figure out some stuff about the world. Alright, I had plenty of time to sit alone and ponder things and figure things out. Alright, and in the meantime, I figured out things that I'm fairly certain most people do not know in this nation. Alright, I have to admit to you that at the time when my wife left me, what I want to subsequently go on to figure out is that I was not a man. I was not a real man. Not at all. I fell short of that. I had to admit that to myself later on, and I had to change my ways. Alright, because I could not afford to go on through life pretending to be a man. I had to actually do it. Alright, and in doing so, I figured out some things that, you know, like I said, a lot of people have trouble grasping now. Trouble grasping nowadays. I want to tell you this, something you may already know. There are good men out there, and there are bad men out there. And there are certain qualities that these men have that allow it to where you can tell if they're good or they're bad. All right. Someone with discernment can tell a good man from a bad man because of their differing qualities. All right. It's always been the case. However, there are qualities that good, righteous men out there have, and they share in common with bad, totally evil men out there. All right. There's certain qualities that these two people share. They're qualities that you have to have. It's a prerequisite to becoming an actual, real man out there. Like I said, there's a lot of characters out there who are totally oblivious to these qualities, who have no idea, never heard of them. All right. Quality number one that I want to talk to you about today, of what it takes to be a real man. This is something that you're not going to be taught in your public schools or your other schools probably. This is something that you're not going to be taught on the radio and by your pop culture and stuff. All right. In fact, they're going to tell you the exact opposite. That's why I feel that this is important to tell you right now, because I have a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to be maybe the only one who tells you this, or perhaps one of the very few who enlightens you as to this particular quality that a real man must have in order to be a real, genuine, actual man these days, or any days. And it's this. You're going to find this very weird to hear at first, but a man, a true to life man, does not ask for anything. Right? You grow out of that. As a child, as a young male child, feel free to ask people for things. You are going to need help, and you're going to need assistance. You're going to have to ask people for stuff, namely your parents. All right. I'm not clowning on young boys. Here's the thing. As a man, you grow up. You grow out of your childish things and your childish ways, and you learn what it is to be a man. All right. A lot of people don't understand, but a man, here's another quality. A man goes to work. That's what a man does. All right. A man does not have vacation. A man does not take days off. A lot of people think, well, that'd be a harsh lifestyle. Maybe it is. That's what a man does. All right. If you're around someone who's grown in their 20s, a male who's in his 20s or beyond that, and they somehow think that that days off and spending their time bullshitting is the thing to do, you're not talking to a man there. You're talking to an eternally suspended young boy. All right, a man goes to work regardless. All right, that's one quality. But like I was mentioning earlier, the quality that I want to talk about in further detail today with you today is the fact that a man doesn't ask. And I want you to think about that, and I want you to absorb that in. I want you to meditate on that. Because what I'm telling you right here, right now, is going to save you a world of trouble. It's going to save you from heartache. It's going to save you from wasting your time in confusion, being very confused about why things are going wrong in your life, why you're not happy, why you're feeling like you know, got a purpose. All right. The thing you need to remember is that a man does not ask for anything. Now, there's exceptions to this, and we're about to talk about those. But a man asks for nothing, especially in his household, not anything ever. All right. And so you might be wondering, well, how does a man get what he wants? A man takes what he wants. All right, and when it comes to his household, when considering his wife and his children and his family, a man takes what he wants without asking for it, and his family, if they love him and respect him and need him around, will give him whatever he wants without question. You do not have to ask. All right. This is a quality that transcends good and bad men. Both good and bad men, wherever you find them in this world right now, I guarantee you, in their household, they're asking for nothing. They take whatever they want. All right, I'll give you an example. Back when say my mom was a young kid, when her father came home from work and he worked every single day, he got the big piece of chicken, dude. Didn't nobody question that? He never asked, hey, can I have the big piece of chicken when I get home from work every day of my life? He simply said, that's mine. Don't nobody touch it. It's mine. All right, he didn't have to ask for nothing. Men back in the day, back in the day when there was far less gender confusion, there were men at home raising their children asking for not a damn thing. All right, the reason I bring that up is because, like I said, we are swimming through confusion. There's so many confused people out here, men and ladies. And we got to a point, and I see it all the time, men who should be grown, men into their 20s, into their upper 20s, into their 30s, who are very confused in this way. And I see them all the time. I'm talking about every day. I'm talking about as soon as they wake up, going to people who they live with, say their girlfriends, say their mothers even, and their sisters and all these other people they know, asking them for things. And that's where they're going wrong. Asking them for things. And I see it, in there's lots of examples. Asking their mother for cigarettes. Why? Because they don't have a job. Why? Because they can't handle money. All right. Asking their mother, can I have cigarettes, please? Can I have food? Can you give me food? Can you give me a ride to work? Can you give me a ride to work, please? Can I get and everybody knows people out there like that. Everybody knows a person, a grown male figure out there who's asking their girlfriends or their wives for a ride to work. You might say, well, there's nothing real wrong with that. At least they got a job and stuff. No, a real man needs to have a job. Yeah, that's true. That's not something to congratulate a grown man for. He's supposed to have a job. Secondly, that grown man, believe it or not, you guys, should get his ass to work, regardless of if he has to walk to work. And trust me, I've done that hundreds of times. Regardless if he has to walk to work or he has to run to work, or if he has to take multiple buses to work and transfer all over the place to get there, a man needs to do that regardless. He needs to ask nobody for nothing. All right? Because the second he starts asking people for things, especially people in his own household, just asking them for things and not returning any favors, just asking for, depending on people. When a man starts depending on people, he forfeits his right to be a man. He no longer is. In fact, he never was. All right. Ask for nothing. You get to work and then you get home. You ask for nothing. Now, like I said, there's exceptions to this rule, and I want to explain them to you clearly right now so that everybody knows, so that all the young girls understand out here and all the young boys can be made to understand. You ask for nothing. There are exceptions. Exception number one is when you are being polite. We live in a Western culture where it's it's very beneficial to be polite. All right. So when you're out and about as a young growing man in public, or as a lady for that matter, but we're talking about men right now, you ask people for things, and the reason you do so is to be polite. Regardless, let's say for example you go to a restaurant and you're ordering food over at the table or over at the counter and stuff. You're ordering food. Basically, in America, you have money. So if you have enough money to pay for the food, you're guaranteed the food. Meaning that's your food. You take it. I mean, you could very easily go up to the waiter and say, "Hey, look, I want this. Give me this. Here's money." And you didn't ask for anything, right? You are a real man. Now, you could also be polite and say, "Hey, may I please have this? I have the money. Please bring me this sandwich." That is asking, but in a way it's not, because you're going to get what you want regardless. You're simply being polite. In your household, you can go to your children, you can go to your wife and be polite and ask them, in order to make them feel good, "Hey, can you please give me this?" All right, and they will give you whatever it is you're talking about. Meanwhile, you never had to ask to begin with. You could have said, "Hey, look, give me that right there." That is you telling them what you want. You're not asking. You're not asking. And there's also another exception, because I understand that emergencies do come up. All right, obviously. So in an emergency situation, when you've come on hard luck and things have not been going your way today, and you really, really, really need someone's help, whether it be a friend or an acquaintance, or, like I said, a family member, you are, I mean, I'm not trying to tell you to not ask someone for help in this situation. Right? You can indeed ask someone for help in an emergency situation. However, I see people out there on the daily, every single day, who had to ask people for rides to work or rides from work, and they look like grown-ass little children. Right? They look like little boys sitting there like, "Please, please, can you give me a ride?" And these people don't live very far from work to begin with. You can walk your ass home. However, I don't have time to explain it to these people, because they are fully grown little children, and for some reason they never learned what it is to be a man. They never were taught, "Hey, this is how a man acts. This is how a man gets things done." All right, that's why I'm making this video, all right, to clear up all the confusion, because I don't have time to go to every grown-ass little man and explain to them, "Well, you know what you need to do? Get your shit done yourself. Stop asking me for favors. Stop asking your girlfriend for favors. Stop asking acquaintances for favors, because you have to rely on the kindness of strangers, basically, because you're not a man. You never learned how to be a real man." I'm not about to waste my time in that regard. However, there are young men out there who actually have an opportunity to do things right. They're still coming up, they're not married yet, they haven't gotten into serious relationships, and they still have an opportunity to learn what it is that a real man does. How do they act? And if they learn to act accordingly, what I'm here to guarantee you is that they're going to waste a lot less time than other people out there. They're going to find a lady, not only just any lady, but the right lady for them. And they're not going to have to worry about the relationship breaking up, because that's the thing. Subconsciously or consciously, women will eventually find out that the man that they're with, that they love or whatever, is not a man, is in fact not a man. And what they'll do, like I said, consciously or unconsciously, is they'll go out and find a real man. And they won't tell you about it either. Right? They'll just go out and do it. And then by the time that happens, guess what? You're out of there, dude. You were cut out of the loop. And now you got to start all over. Right? And you're going to be wondering why. You're going to be trash talking these ladies. You're going to be saying, oh, you know, this whore, stupid slut bitch left me, blah, 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 for this other guy. Meanwhile, you were never a man to begin with, dude. You know what I'm saying? You never deserved to have a girlfriend or a wife and a family with children. You didn't deserve it. And you're going to be out here complaining. You're going to be out here so very, totally, utterly confused. Blaming everybody else but yourself. Everybody else but yourself. And that's going to be a lifelong problem for you. Right? And it's going to be a lifelong problem for everyone around you, to include your children. You're going to make them very confused. Right? Due to your, I don't know, due to your ignorance or your selfishness or whatever else. You have no idea what a man is. And you were never taught so by your public schools or your pop culture or anything else. You can only get taught this really by another actual grown man. That's the only person who will ever be able to teach you this kind of thing. And that's the reason why I wanted to take time out today, talk to y'all about this, talk to you about something that I know that 99.9% of people out there simply will not tell you, either that or do not know. Because we're living in a great state of confusion right now. It is actually called the tribulation. A great divide is taking place, but we're going to talk about that later. Alright, that's a whole nother video. Anyways, this is February the 28th, 2017, and I'll holler at y'all later.